My name's Kelly Lloyd. I'm from Q Music in Brisbane. I'm also a musician and a filmmaker. I've been a musician for 23 years and a filmmaker for about the same amount of time as being a musician. So I've immersed pretty much my whole life in music and film and art.
Cool. And you've just taken part in the panel, Music as a Culture. What did you learn anything from that?
It's really interesting sitting on a panel and listening to, it was a really interesting panel. I really wanted to talk about some things and, I wanted to say how great Brisbane is and how there's a whole new culture of sitting down and having people on panels talking about music and it as a tool and how to use it and how best to go about selling it. And I was really very glad to be on this panel today about music as culture, because it wasn't looking at music as a commodity. It was about music as something that you do because you're compelled to do it. And that's what I am really compelled to do music, and I just was born that way. And I guess what I learned is that it doesn't matter if you're a musician or not, that people are compelled to have music as part of their life, and it's something that brings everyone together, and it can polarize people at the same time. It's very divisive, but it brings people together. And I think that's a great thing about Unconvention, is that today and yesterday the whole event's been about people coming together, and they don't necessarily all agree with each other, but that's what makes it also interesting. So I think it's been really great. I've been really happy to be involved. It's a really great thing.
I totally agreed with what you were saying about how it used to all be about rebelling against the sort of parental, and now it's all like, go, do it, we understand.
Yeah.
And how do you think that's had an adverse reaction? It's like, what else do you rebel against? Because youth has to rebel in some way.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what I think about culture, that like Brisbane was very much driven in the 70s and 80s against the political structure, the environment that we had to live with. It was very oppressive, and that's where the Saints came from, that's where the Go-Betweens came from also. And even further in, there was something for the kids to unite against. And the same thing happened in England with Thatcherism. I think I saw a documentary where, I'm not sure who it was, it might have been Joe Strummer, kind of said, the end of Thatcherism, they all kind of stood there looking at each other and were like, well, what are we going to rebel against now? And so punk kind of died then. And I think that what's happening now with this, it's kind of like a parental acknowledgement of like, we want you to do what you want to do. Rock and roll's great, go out there and do it. It doesn't provide the atmosphere of rebellion, like you said, and I don't know. I think it's reflected in some of the music that comes out of the world these days can be a little bland. But then, if you just keep digging down, the further you go down, you'll always find those little gems that are chaotic and noisy. And there's nothing wrong with music being bland, though. I mean, people still are creating that music, and it comes from somewhere. Hopefully it comes from the right place. But I mean, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's been created. It is someone's work, and it's incredibly valid. But when it's forced to go down underground and fend for itself, there's something more. There's something really sort of basic about that. It exists in a different way because it needs to find how to exist. It's not given a map and shown where to go. It's got to find its own way, and I love that about music, And it's such, like, Brisbane has all of that. It has like the top part where it's like safe, and it has the middle, and it has this underground bit where we don't even know it exists yet, and hopefully some of us will find it, and maybe some of us won't.
Cool. And what's the whole romance with music in Brisbane? What do you think is romantic about the whole culture?
Well, I've lived in Brisbane for like 20 years now, I think, and I've seen Brisbane like grow up. It's kind of left the gangly teenage years where it was really unsure of itself, and now it's moved into becoming a young adult, and it's discovered quite a lot about itself. I think it's discovered a whole